Welcome back to the program. We're glad you've stayed with us. This is the big story right here on KTN News. It's been almost 2 months since the president declared lifestyle audit targeting state offices. But up to now, we're getting very scanty information with how the process is being undertaken. And, of course, we're probing the secrecy surrounding the well-guarded audit. In studio, once again, I have Edwin Makori, who is the ISPAC CEO, Patrick Mayo, who is the council member of the Kenya Institute of Supplies Management, and Honorable Caleb Kositani, who is the SOI member of Parliament. Patrick, you've had Mheshimiwa's point of view earlier. From your own, opinion, from your own experience, what do you think could have been the ideal situation in order for the government to get the most out of, the ongoing audit?
Thank you. In terms of procurement, just as my colleague from accounts has explained, it's a process that involves many players. And if there is any mistake anywhere, it's very easy to detect at what stage did a breach occur. Was it a criminal breach or just a simple breach? And who did it? And therefore, that person who did it is the person who is supposed to be held responsible. And that is why, as an institute, we have always said that we can assist the government to identify the specific areas where there are problems. Mm-hmm. And then once you have identified the specific areas, you go for the specific culprits. You don't take everybody as culprits or as people who have done an offense, even the majority of whom are innocent. And you deal with the people who have made mistakes. Mistakes are made by specific people, not everybody. And it is those specific people that the law should be applied to so that they are answerable to their mistakes. Mm-hmm. It would, in my opinion, also be much easier to then apply the lifestyle audit to those people, because if you want to bring in the aspect of lifestyle audit, mm-hmm. in the mainstream civil service alone, that's nearly 200,000. Mm-hmm. I believe the teachers who are above 200,000 will be excluded. But if you include people from the county governments, from the state corporations, from the regulatory bodies, you are talking of a figure of more than 500,000. To be able to have an effective and efficient audit supply, you must have both extensive and expensive infrastructure. You must have competent people to handle it. And they must be neutral, all right? Mm-hmm. Right now, the way in which it is being handled, nobody knows who is handling them, mm-hmm. Who is handling that particular process, their levels of competencies, and whether the process is objective or subjective. Mm-hmm. If it is objective and it will be able to help the fight of corruption, which in actual fact is killing this country, mm-hmm. then that would be very good. But if corruption is killing this country, uh-huh. but you are still bringing in subjective measures that's not going to help, then of course that is a waste of resources, a waste of time, demoralizing people who otherwise are doing well, but now are being accused. Mm-hmm. I think it is very easy to identify the people who have made mistakes and take action against those people only, and let other people continue doing their work.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure you're also asking the same question Edwin had posed earlier on when this lifestyle audit is going to be extended to other government officials as well. Let's listen in what the president had to say some time back when he was commissioning the Dongo Kundu bypass in Mombasa. The president announced another component of the lifestyle audit then. Not only procurement and accounting officers will be audited, but also all civil servants, including the president himself. In fact, he said he'd be the first to be audited. Let's listen to what he had to say then.
On top of the actions that we are already taking, tutaanza sasa ile ambayo inaitwa lifestyle audit ya maofisa wote wa serikali. Ndio wewe tunakuona, haya basi, hii nyumba, pesa, hii mshahara ndio hii ulinunua namna gani? Hii ulinunua namna gani? Hii gari ambayo unapeleka na usijaribu kuweka kwa jina ya bibi yako au mtoto yako, tutajua ni yako, ulitoa wapi? You must explain na ule wa kwanza kufanyiwa lifestyle audit ni mimi, kwa sababu mimi ndio mfanyikazi number 1. Si ndio hiyo? Yes. Mimi, alafu tuende kwa huyu, alafu tuende kwa governor, alafu tuende kwa Masharia. Kila mtu aseme hii maisha unaishi kwa njia gani? Si ni namna hiyo? Hii pesa unatoa wapi? Na kama huna jibu, kuna mwingine kamiti anakugojea huko na atakupatia jibu yako. Tumekubaliana wenzangu?
That was the president himself some time back, about 2 months ago. Edwin, before I come to you, I'd like to hear Honorable Kositani's point of view on this. The president, of course, is on record saying there that he is willing to be subjected to the lifestyle audit. Then, of course, the deputy president followed after. There are critics who might say once again, this is a mere political statement because we are yet to see that happen.
Well, I think the president and the deputy, his able deputy, are people of their word. They mean what they say, and they say what they mean. So let's give them time, and I'm sure they will undergo the audit. If they haven't undergone the lifestyle audit already, I'm sure when they do it, we would like them to make it public so that the public sees that they've actually gone through the lifestyle audit. But I think all in all, we as Kenyans, let us embrace this and have a new chapter, corruption-free country for us all.
Mm-hmm. Edwin, you've heard what the president had just said there, and as much as you're going to react to that, do you think the lifestyle audit that is targeting, procurement officers at the moment is going to be effective in any way in the war on graft?
Thank you, so far. Just looking at it, we are now 49 days, working days into it. My main concern is, as much as we're talking about the perks that the officers are getting, remember that when you're out there, you're already branded as a thief. There's going to be a stress element on the officers. What we're not sure, and is something that we need to be able to monitor. This is going to get into depression at some point. Mm-hmm. Because the uncertainty around the whole process is what is going to lead to stress getting into depression, because you already accused, even those who are innocent, that from what the practice that is actually the audit that is undergoing right now, that you are corrupt, or you are perceived to be corrupt. And what that means is that the support mechanism that you have within the community, it looks at you differently. And then that in itself brings in other complications that maybe the government has not looked into, because 49 days is a long day, is a long time. The lifestyle audit, or those who are not yet subjected to the lifestyle audit, in such a way that you remove the vacuum that is there by lack of information. Lack of information will always kill a very noble process. And as we said, even with the vetting of judges and magistrates and the vetting of the disciplined forces, it was structured, it had days, they knew what is it that was required, and they appeared in public to be able to go the vetting process. And that itself creates credibility of the whole process. I think the issue that is going to be there right now is just being able to assure the public officers who are going to go back how to be able to discharge their duties when they're not sure of what is it that went through the lifestyle audit. And even if today they were told to go back to the office, they're not sure of what decisions to be able to make, because the communication has not been there as effectively to be able to bring in the credibility and integrity of the whole process in a way that it assures even Wanjikol or how the process has been done. Yes.
Honorable Kositani, don't you believe that that is like one of, it's a main concern that needs to be addressed, the secrecy and all these, operations? Of course, some of the procurement officers, once again, have confirmed to us that this is some sort of they're being taken to some sort of a military operation.
Well, the secrecy involved in this actually demonstrates how serious the president and his deputy are in seeing this process through without any interference whatsoever from any quarter. We know that this process will go on and will extend, as we have said earlier, to other people. So we know that those who feel threatened by this audits, lifestyle audit process, will want to compromise those who the officers or the individuals who are involved. So I think the secrecy is a welcome thing. It shows how serious the president and his deputy are about this thing. And I think we as Kenyans, we have nothing else. Let us just support it. And I would ask the organization to support it. As we say, we want to have a clean Kenya. We want people to enjoy their sweat. Let everybody be glorified for what they've worked hard for and not for quick gains and corrupt earnings.
Yeah, and speaking about threats, I believe this is a matter that almost divided your own political party, that is Jubilee Party. And one of the senators from the Jubilee Party had this to say some time back with regards to lifestyle audit. He said that the audit is meant to target a specific person. You cannot do lifestyle audit for political expediency. It is a scheme by a clique of people, Uhuru's kitchen cabinet. It will flop because it is being pushed with a specific result in mind. Since then, what's changed?
Well, I don't know what position whoever made that statement. I don't know what he or she had seen or what the information they had when they made that statement. But personally, I have not seen any indication that this shows that the process is targeting any individual. We all welcome it. And that is an individual statement. Maybe you need to call whoever made the statement to come and explain.
So you're in full agreement with the ongoing lifestyle audit?
I am in full agreement with it.
Let me bring Patrick back. Patrick, of course, we've seen the back and, forth between, people from the Jubilee Party with regards to this lifestyle audit during the onset. And do you think there's some sort of a political will towards this whole audit?
I do not think there is a political angle to it. And in any case, if somebody is found culpable, irrespective of where that somebody comes from, action should be taken. I would wish to support the President's statement and take it positively, that it recognizes that so many people from various angles, various professions, various ministries, and so on, may be corrupt. And therefore, everybody should be included in the lifestyle audit. Because then that would mean that there is no person who has accumulated some unexplained wealth who will then be excluded. My only problem is the pragmatism of applying that lifestyle audit. Is it pragmatic? Is it something that we think can be done? And if it can be done within what period of time? Can we even imagine that it will take 1 year? I doubt. 3 years? I still doubt. All right? So in the absence of information on how that can be done objectively, I have problem with it being handled. And I think that there are clear cases where action can be taken or where specific failures can be taken. If you allow me to go back to the example of NYS, in the case of NYS 1, it was not in dispute that payments were made for goods not received. It was not in dispute that somebody accepted that, yes, payment was made to my account, I withdrew the money and took it to so-and-so. Now, there may be a dispute between the person as to whether the money moved from one person to the other one. And when the matter went to court, the courts decided that there is no sufficient evidence to convict the people who are presented before them. All right? So that was the verdict of the court. As far as I'm concerned, the courts released themselves. We have the prosecutors. Were the prosecutors also satisfied with that court judgment that the evidence they presented to the courts were not adequate? If they were satisfied, then it means they themselves were not satisfied with their own work. And if they were not satisfied, why did they not appeal against that? So the fact that they kept quiet is an issue. What about the investigators? Did the investigators were satisfied that the information they gave the prosecutors, was it properly presented to court? And were they satisfied with the court judgment? If not, then they should come out, because corruption is something that affects the public. And if we look at Article 35 of the Constitution, which entitles members of the public to information, I think that if, for example, the ethics and corruption people were serious, I don't think they are, but if they are serious, they could have come and said, look, this is the job we did not agree with the court because of 1, 2, 3. Or we gave this, I see no political, I don't see any politics in it, I only have a problem with its practicability.
And I think one of the problems Edwin had raised earlier is the lack of, solid structures that he talked about that was supposed to aid, the president orders. Before I engage Edwin, Honorable Kostan, you've had Edwin's point of view earlier. Do you think there's a proper structure in place to execute the president orders? Because at the moment, we're seeing the process is being, taken like a guesswork, because these individuals are being taken from one house to another. Their IDs are being taken away. They're being subjected to, queries by officials from DCI, EACC. Is there like a proper way of dealing with these individuals?
Well, I think the way it is being handled is proper. I don't have the full details, but an investigation is carried out. You need to be asked the same question as many times as possible by different people. Then they go and compare the answers you gave, whether they all match. So I think, as I said earlier, and I repeat again, let us give it time. I think the process is being handled. The biggest problem we have is the secrecy, and I can see from the two panelists here that they have a problem. They want everything in black and white so that they may know exactly what the process is. And I think that will jeopardize the investigation. We will get an outcome that has been doctored. So I think, personally, I believe the process is going on well, and let us accept and agree that it is being done by Kenyans who have the goodwill of this nation at heart and are not witch hunting anybody. Hussein? Yusuf?
All procurement now must be made public and put through that portal. All procurement. Once concluded, we will roll it out, because it is important that going forward, and given the challenges that we have had, and the mood and the desire of our people for transparency and openness and accountability, that all procurement must be made available. Let Kenyans see who has been awarded the tender and the reasons for it and who are the others, so we have clear transparency and openness, so that the challenges that we are going through we bring to an end.
Apologies, we had a sound problem earlier. Of course, that is the president talking about the need to have transparency in government. And Edwin, let me give you the last word here. I'm sure you've heard what the Honorable Calibert talked about. He has no problem with the high level of secrecy that we're seeing with regards to this audit. What do you think should be an ideal situation once again? Don't you think the public need to know, how the process is being conducted? Because, of course, corruption also affects them the most.
Thank you, Super. And I know, as Mheshimiwa said, that it's highly secretive because of the nature. Remember that these are professionals, and at the end of the day, if they are found culpable, we'll have to use some evidence to be able to take them through a disciplinary process, that then you'll have to remove them as members of the institution. From what is happening currently, and we're hoping that that information will become available once the process is concluded. How do we then subject the professional? Because we're dealing with professionals here, and remember that this has an effect on other professions also. Does it mean that tomorrow when the case that we had in Kenyatta National Hospital, where a wrong patient was had a surgery, and that was a professional like the accountants and procurement officers, that then will subject everyone to a lifestyle audit or some sort of audit that is cuts across without any specific facts. From where we sit and from where I sit from the Institute, and as we look at it, first the due process that we're talking about, and we are not casting any doubt to the process so far. There must have been evidence gathering that then led to be able to see who are these people who are culpable. Then we will not have mind to have a structured process of being able to see that these particular persons are taken through a lifestyle audit. And in the process...
Yes, Edwin, I think you've delivered your point of view there. Unfortunately, we are out of time. Of course, we're going to wait and see when both the president, his deputy, and other senior government officials are going to be subjected to this lifestyle audit. Many thanks for your input. Edwin Makor is from the Institute of Certified Accountant. Patrick Mayo is the council member of Suppliers Management, and Khalid Kostani, of course, is the Honorable Member of Parliament from Soy. Many thanks all of you for your input, and that brings us to the end of the program tonight. Many thanks for watching. My name is Joseph Ibrahim. Up next is KTN Prime.